Hello. All right, let me open these comments. All right. First things first, I don't know how many people are going to be in here because I wasn't really able to promote it. My Instagram is currently down. So if you're wondering where it went, it's not here. I'm getting it back probably this week. And it'll be back up. Everything will be fine. But for now, it's gone. So I wasn't able to promote on there. I also didn't promote it on Twitter, which was my bad because I should have. Oh, okay, cool. Somebody's here. I know a couple people will be here, but not as many people as normal. Yeah, Instagram bans are very common, and I will be getting it back. We're just in the process of that, and it was the weekend, so I wasn't able to. Sorry, my cousin's like 5-year-old is calling me, and she's gonna call me like 80 times. Oh, okay, cool. People are here. Okay, yeah. So Instagram's currently down. It's gonna come back up probably this week, and for now, my beacons, I took off the OnlyFans link on it. So right now, go to my other beacons, jazzylicious.org, if you want to check out my socials. And I will be doing a live on OnlyFans after this. Last time, a couple of you, or a lot of you actually joined, and it was, what is going on? Sorry. You guys joined, and it was really fun. So if you guys want to do that again, that will be at 8 Pacific, which is an hour and a half. I just gave it an hour and a half to make sure that we can discuss everything we want to discuss here and have enough time. What else? I think that's it for housekeeping. Good to see you again. I'm glad you guys, thanks for showing up. I didn't know if enough people knew about it. I did talk about it on OnlyFans and my Snapchat, but that's it. I forgot even Twitter. But when I was thinking of topics today, so I just filmed a video for YouTube. If you're not following me on YouTube, you should be. That's just at Jazmen Jafar. If we could get the banner up. Oh my God, this top. Yeah, follow my YouTube. I just did a video for YouTube. It's not up yet. I just filmed it where I talked about things that I've learned, because it's been like a year and a half since I've had an OnlyFans and been like an online sex worker. And can the banner be moved? No. I think if you want to see more cleavage, that's going to be that's going to be in an hour and a half. But I was thinking of what I learned kind of in this transition, because I kind of got licensed and I got my, I started my OnlyFans like the same time. And then it's been about, I think 7 months since I left my job at my firm and started doing, focusing more on content creation. And I just did 5 things that I've learned from that. And the thing I really want to talk about, and your Insta doesn't work on your links. Yeah, Insta is, you must have just came here. My Insta's currently down. It's going to come back up later. And YouTube is probably not on that link because it's an older link, because the current link, OnlyFans, isn't on there. So yeah, if you just go Jazmen Jafar on YouTube, you can see it. Hopefully by next time it's going to be fixed. I'm pretty sure it will be. And the Insta will be back up and everything will be back up and running. Did you see the article on them making more AI generated OnlyFans? No, that's interesting. Maybe that's a future podcast topic. AI is taking over. But how long do you plan on doing OnlyFans? Okay, I'm going to answer these questions, but I want to get into the topic. I actually did answer that specific question in my Q&A on my YouTube channel that I shot last week. So go check that out. I answer that and other questions. But when I was thinking of what I really learned by transitioning from lawyer to sex worker, the biggest takeaway that I had was, and if you have been following me for a while and you were in like one of my earliest streams, it literally might have been my first one, where I talked about self-trust and not letting other people's opinions dictate your life, because other people are full of shit. And I always like kind of knew that, but it's like this transition has really taught me that. And I kind of wanted to talk about it with you guys and like kind of just have a discussion about it. As human beings, I've talked about this before, we are tribalistic, and a lot of the way we behave is because of our lizard brain, our primitive brain. And a lot of the fears that we have in our lives have to do that aren't really, they're natural, but they're not productive, right? Your primitive brain is evolved the way it is for a reason. It's normal, it's natural, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's logical, right? Like look at things like we're scared of bugs, etc., like spiders. And that's because evolutionarily speaking, that made sense, but it doesn't really serve us much today. And same thing, a lot of the things that keep us from doing the things that we want to do or living our best lives have to do with irrational fears. Are people going to like me? What are people going to think? Are people going to, are people going to think I look stupid? Or am I going to embarrass myself? Blah, 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 blah. And the reason we think that is because back in the day, if your tribe kicked you out or you weren't part of the tribe anymore, you would fucking die. Well, right now it's 2023 and that's no longer the case. And we also don't have one little tribe, right? We have the whole world at our fingertips, especially with the internet. So a lot of these fears that we have, oh, should I apply for this? Should I put myself out there? What are people going to think? Maybe I should ask other people what they think. Oh, people are saying this. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Blah, 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 blah. It prevents us from living our best lives and taking those risks and believing in ourselves. And especially when you want to do anything that kind of goes off course. And that's not just like what I did with OnlyFans, like any successful person. Look at like the most successful people in our society. They didn't do things the traditional way. They didn't take the traditional path. And many of them wouldn't be where they were if they were going to listen to other people's opinions, because whenever you do make a decision like that, people are going to try to deter you. And think of how many people, how many great things, great inventions, entrepreneurs didn't take those chances because they did let other people's opinions get in the way. And at the end of the day, which is what the title of this topic is, and I did just come up with this, like my moderator knows, I was like, I don't know what to do. So this is just me ranting. People are full of shit. Nobody has the answers. Not a single person. All of us were put on this earth. We don't know what the fuck is happening. And we don't know what the fuck's going to happen when we're off the earth. And we don't know what the fuck is happening right now or why we're here. Everyone has, theories and they believe in this. Some people are religious. Some people believe that the stars and the planets and retrograde and all that shit. But at the end of the day, none of us fucking know what's happening. And people give you their opinions. I've talked about this before, based off of their insecurities, their limitations, their experiences, and it has nothing to do with you. And a lot of times they're just reiterating a narrative that they heard and they're just repeating it, right? So especially when I think it's like opinions you should be very wary of are opinions that are very like black and white, all or nothing, right? So when I wanted to do this and go on OnlyFans, you're going to be miserable. You're going to regret it. You're not going to, like, you see this on the internet all the time. Nobody's going to respect you. Nobody, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, dating must be so hard. Nobody wants to date somebody on OnlyFans. Anytime someone talks like that, black and white in 2023 with billions of people on this planet, that is like number one opinion that you shouldn't give a fuck about. Like, and nobody, do you know everybody on earth? Nobody is going to blah, blah, blah. Nobody can be happy on OnlyFans. Do you even have an OnlyFans? Where are you getting this from, right? And a lot of times, like I said, people are just full of fucking shit. And please play some video games. I have never played a video game in my life. If you guys are interested in me trying to attempt to play a video game for the first time at some point, and that doesn't require me to learn a bunch of shit with technology, I'd be happy to do so. But I know that's like a big thing on Twitch, but like the only game I've ever played in my life was like Temple Run on my phone in like 2009. Yeah. Anyways, back to what I was saying. And living your life for other people's opinions or for other people's respect is not going to make you happy. And I feel like I can really say that because a year and a half ago, I was just a normal lawyer, Nobody was seeing my titties. I was not on the internet. I didn't even have social media, much less OnlyFans. And I was just like, and everybody, she's a lawyer. That's so great. She's so accomplished. She's such a good little Middle Eastern girl. I had the respect of everyone in society, and I was miserable because I didn't respect myself, and I wasn't happy, and I was doing things because other people wanted me to do. And now that I'm on OnlyFans and I do something that a lot of people don't respect, I'm happy. And so a lot of times when people tell me you don't have self-respect, what they're really telling me is they don't respect me. That's it. When someone tells someone, oh, you don't have self-respect, what you're saying is you don't respect that person and you don't think what they're doing is respectable. So you don't respect them. Therefore, they must not have self-respect, because I guess you are the arbiter of who respects themselves and who doesn't. And your values determine that for everybody. So again, those are just a lot of times when people say things, I've talked about this before, like any kind of negative comment, people look at the comment in relation to, or they look at the comment in relation to themselves. Like, oh, this person said this. Let me think about myself. Let me think about if it's true, blah, blah, blah. Think about it. Think about the person, the relationship between the person that wrote the comment and the person and the comment, not the relationship between the comment and yourself. And then you realize, oh, everybody, like, it's just projection. And I'm not saying never listen, like never seek advice or never ask other people's opinions. But at the end of the day, you have the answer. You don't need to go elsewhere for the answer. And the only kinds of opinions or people that you should really ask their opinion are, and these are people far and few in between, who are going to lead you back to yourself. They're not going to give you the opinion that, they're not going to give you their opinion based off of, oh, well, I would do this. That's what people do. Oh, you shouldn't leave this job because blah, 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 which means I wouldn't leave that job if I were you because blah, 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 but they aren't you. So people that really are like, oh, okay, you're wondering if you should leave your job to do OnlyFans. Okay, well, how would you feel? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Do you think you would be happier? These are the kinds of people that are giving you the right. They're not giving you their opinion. They're guiding you to help you trust yourself and figure out what's best for you. Number one. Number two is, if you're going to take opinions from anybody, first of all, if you're going to take anyone's opinion to heart, think about, would you have asked that person for advice? Right? So if it's someone random on the internet, just like living in their basement or like, whatever, and people read these opinions and they take them to heart, it's like, would I do I want this person's advice? Do I want this person? Do I care what they have to say? Do I want their life? Right? And this is something that has gone back like forever. Like, even if you read like Plato, right? Like, that was always, you seek the opinions. Opinions are not all equal. If this person says this and this person says that, that's not just two people's opinions. You take the opinions of people who are actually wise and people who you respect enough to ask them what they think. And then even then, you have to remember everything I said and take it with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, it's about trusting yourself. Okay, hold on. Would you encourage a family member or someone you love to start an OnlyFans? Yep. If I thought I would let them know, hey, here are the things that you need to look out for. Here are some reasons I wouldn't recommend it. I did a video on my YouTube, 5 reasons not to start an OnlyFans. And I would be like, it's not for everybody. But if that's what's going to make you happy and you feel like it's the right decision for you, yeah, why not? Do you have close friends that didn't respect you after OnlyFans? Not close friends, no. Do you believe that other people's opinions matter at all if you have made up your mind on something? No. Now, okay, here's also the other thing. When we ask for people's opinions, we're not asking people, like, usually it means that there is something that we're making a decision on, and there are 2, if not more, reasonable options that we can take. Nobody's calling somebody and being like, should I shoot myself in the head? Like, these are not the kind of thing that people are asking other people's opinions for, or even receiving unsolicited opinions about, on the internet. And so because of that, there is going to be a variety of opinion in general, right? There's like, look at how different people think in this world, right? Some people love what I do and they think it's great. Some people love the OnlyFans, they think it's empowering, they think it's wonderful. We have culture war going on in this country every day over something, because people are so different in their viewpoints and their perspectives, etc. So there's no right answer, really. And listening to somebody else's opinion doesn't really make sense, because somebody else is going to have the opposite opinion, and that person's going to have an opposite opinion, and that person's going to have a different opinion. So really, the only opinion that should matter for your life, because you're the only one that's going to have to live your life, you're the only person that's going to have to wake up and go to bed with yourself and live the life that you want to live, not your parents, not the person that's giving you the advice, not the person that's typing the comment on the internet. You're the only one that's going to have to live the life that you have and live with the choices that you make. And when it comes to other people's opinions, like I said, you'd be hard pressed with anything reasonable to like, oh, should I leave my job to do this? And you ask every single person in the world, every single person in the world isn't going to give you the same answer anyway. So sure, hear other people's perspectives. If there's somebody that you respect and you think is wise, go ahead. Maybe they're going to teach you something. Maybe they're going to give you a new data set to consider, whatever. But at the end of the day, trust yourself. And I'm so happy I did. And another thing I talk about in the video is I feel like something else I learned is that, sorry, it's asking me to restart this, which I'm not doing. Another thing that I learned, or I feel like I really learned, is that you can really make a difference and you can advocate for things that you're passionate about no matter what you do. I'm a fucking OnlyFans girl. I never thought when I did an OnlyFans I would be on Twitch talking to you guys like this, getting the messages that I get from people. Like somebody just commented that I changed their opinion on sex work. What? Right? I would have never had the opportunity to do that if I didn't take the risk that I took. I was a lawyer and I was like, okay, I'm advocating for my clients. And then I went to OnlyFans and I take off my clothes for money. And now I'm changing people's opinions on things that I'm passionate about. I have this platform where I'm able to talk about things that I'm passionate about, open up discussion, open up debates. No matter what your job is, you have the ability to use whatever resources you have or whatever opportunity you have for your position to make a difference and impact other people. That's something else that I heard. So when people are like, oh, people just judge oh, you do this job, you do that job, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter what people think, right? I just went from one of the most respected professions to one of the least respected professions, and I'm happier. I feel like I get to change people's lives in a way that I would never have been able to before. And like I said, the more you trust yourself, the more you realize, oh, other people don't know what they're talking about. Because when you're young, you're like, oh, I don't know anything. Oh, my parents know best, blah, blah, blah. And the older you get, you're like, not that you blame your parents or anything, but you realize like, oh, they're doing the best with the information they have, with the data set they have. But I'm not them, and I have a new data set, and I have different opinions, perspectives. My values are different. And what works for them or what they think is best for me might not be what's best for me. And you're not put on this earth to make your parents proud. You're not put on this earth to make anybody proud. You're put on this earth for yourself and to live a life conducive to your own happiness. Okay, let me go down these comments a little. Ooh, sorry to click, I know. Do you believe that other people, oh, I did that one. It's a valid opinion, I think. That's why you have to be able to identify unbiased opinions. Most people are going to give you biased opinions. The only time someone's going to not give you a biased opinion is if they're not giving you their opinion. They're trying to guide you back to yourself and your and like sometimes people like when people ask me advice, I'm not even somebody that does this, but I do try to make it very clear, like with, oh, here's what I've seen, here's my anecdotal advice, here's what I've experienced, and this is something that I see with this. But I never say, oh, this is what you should do. And like I said, the opinions that you should be very definitely ignore are people who are telling you this is the right answer. And if you don't do this, here it is, all or nothing. You're going to be sad. You're going to be like, you don't know that. You don't know any of that. You're never going to find, oh my gosh, in 5 years, you're going to be miserable. In 10 years, you're not going to, well, we're going to be broke. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're ruining your life. No, I could also very well, especially when it's the world is full of possibilities. How are you so sure about this? Like, what information do you have that the rest of the world doesn't have that makes you so sure that you can predict the future and you know the outcome and you know what's best for other people? You don't even know what's best for you. We every day make decisions hoping we're doing what's best for ourselves, and we know ourselves best. What makes us think that we have the formula not only to make ourselves happy, which is something we're all trying to do at day to day, but make other people happy? The one size fits all, this is how you're happy, this is blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, you can make general statements like, okay, yeah, exercise is good for you. It releases endorphins, blah, 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 blah. But you can't go tell people, oh, working in this environment is good. Oh, you should working at good. Staying home is wrong. Oh, taking off your clothes for money will make you unhappy. You will never find real love if you do this or that. These are the kind, like, people are bold to be making these kinds of claims, and they don't have anything to back it up. And those are the people you should be most like, ooh. Super curious, how have you prepared yourself to handle burnout as an adult entertainer? I am still working through this. There are so many days I feel unmotivated. There's so many days where I'm just laying there and I have this vision in my head of how I want content to come out or what I want to do. And it's hard for me to figure out how to put it into an action plan. So yeah, I think the nice thing about being an adult entertainer and dealing with burnout is that you have the liberty to take those breaks when you need them. I'm not responsible for anybody else. I don't work for anybody else. So the only person that has to, I don't have to ask myself for time off or like request time off. I'm my own boss. So I can be like, you know what? Fuck it. And I will say that's kind of what I've done a lot of this month is, I very, very particular about making sure I'm consistent especially on OnlyFans and on paid platforms. And I will make sure that I get some type of content out, and I will make up, like if I, don't go live for 1 week, I will go live twice the next week and I'll make up for it. But having the liberty to take those days off, which is also why it's so great to pursue your passions without it being a complete necessity at the time. And so I know me and Hazerston, the one who wrote the comment talking about this, like, you're working your jobs and you have other things that you want to do, passions you want to pursue. When you feel burnt out or you feel unmotivated, you don't have to work on it at that particular time. You can take a break and you can come back to it when things are better. And things are up and down, especially in social media and online content creation. And that's something that that's hard for me to realize. In fact, I talked to my sister yesterday. I was like, oh, I haven't been on TikTok in a month. Like my Instagram's down right now. I'm taking a while to get through messages because I'm traveling. And she's like, yeah, this happens to everybody. Like everybody knows. You kind of ride the wave. And that's part of the, I think, pros and cons of this industry. She's smart. I'm sure she's invested. What's your honest opinion on the type of men who pay for your content? I've done videos on this before. I did a YouTube video on it. They're normal, and the vast majority are normal. And I find that they are higher performing, higher IQ individuals than a lot of the people that write me hate comments on social media in incoherent English, broken grammar about how dumb it is to pay for content and how it makes you a simp. And meanwhile, a lot of the people that do subscribe to my OnlyFans page have successful jobs. They know how to write. They're normal. They're not angry. They engage like normal people. And they can and OnlyFans is a great way to actually watch ethical, I guess, porn, if you want to call it that. And so, yeah. Absolute statements are always something to be cautious about. Like you said, nobody knows everything. Nobody knows, yeah, especially these kinds of things. Like nobody knows what the best future for you is, right? We don't even know what the best future for ourselves is. We don't even know what the future holds, right? We don't know any of that. The best thing that we have is science, right? And where's the book? I've recommended it to Hazerston before. Oh, it's on the ground over there. Give me a second. I will be back. I have my qualms with this. I don't believe in this 100%, but the book is The Moral Landscape, Sam Harris, and it's kind of talking about how science can determine human values. I'm a little okay. But yeah, we do, like, if research studies, like looking at human well-being, what promotes human well-being, what doesn't promote human well-being. These are things that, yeah, there are things we can do, and we could be like, okay, like what we've learned about happiness, for instance, 50% of happiness from what the last time I looked into it is genetic, but then the other 50%, there are things you can do if you have community, if you feel like you have purpose, physical activity. These are things that will make you happier according to the research and the science that we have. And those are things I think you should trust science, and science should inform your life and your opinions, right? You can't walk around like some people, like Andrew Tate famously does, where he says, oh no, I just live my life based off what I see. So if the earth looks flat, it's flat. I don't think that's the way you should live your life. But at the same time, other people they don't know better than you. They're not better than you. They don't have answers you don't have. They don't know what's going to happen in the afterlife or this life or that life. They don't know why they're here. They don't know what their purpose. They don't know what your purpose is. They don't know any of this shit. So they're in the same position as you, except for they don't have the upper hand of being you and knowing what's best for you. So you are 100% the best person to make decisions for yourself. There's nobody else that's in a better position to make decisions for you. So don't let other people make decisions for you. Let them make decisions for them. Legit, this is why I'm grateful to be in the information age, and we can confirm facts independently while also having valuable discussions. Trust but verify. Listen and learn, fact check, and make sure you're being as honest as you can be. Yeah, very, very good. Have you read any of Jordan Peterson's books? I have not read Jordan Peterson's books. I'm not impressed really by Jordan Peterson. I know some of his psychology stuff is very useful and probably continues to be useful, but I don't find him to be intellectually honest. And I think a lot of the stuff he does he uses something that may be based in something real, and then he jumps to a conclusion that does not follow the premise, which is something a lot of people do. I was just talking to a friend who is convinced, because, we have these excess deaths happening, and he's convinced it's because of the vaccine, and it's the same thing. I was like, okay, so we have these excess deaths. You can't link it to the vaccine unless you want to show evidence that people who got the vaccine are more likely to experience said deaths. And he's like, no, it's obvious, because what changed? And then it's like, no, you need a logical link to get to a conclusion, right? I can't be like, well, there's water on the ground here, so that means there's a hole in my ceiling and the rain came through. No, I could have spilled the water. There are other explanations. We need something to now link the fact that, okay, it's raining and there's a hole in my ceiling. Okay, now we have more of a link. So this is stuff that I've realized, and I talk about this in the video that I'm going to do on YouTube about all this stuff. People don't understand this. People and it's not even always their fault. Like, I'm privileged. I had a really great education. I learned how to verify sources. I learned how to think critically. I don't know why I keep coughing. And I learned how to use my conscious reasoning to override my primitive brain when my primitive brain wants to be illogical and incorrect. And people don't have that. People believe what they want to believe, and people have a lot of confirmation bias. And I think things are getting kind of scary when faced with the truth, misinformation and bad ideas. Because I used to be like, oh, marketplace of ideas, the best ideas will win because they're better argued and they're better reasoned and they have evidence. But a lot of people don't operate that way. A lot of people have a conclusion and they want that conclusion, and then any evidence that maybe potentially, even if it's fake, leads to that conclusion, that's what they're going to believe. And bad ideas can override good ideas when you're not using logic and reason, when you're using other motivators or motivations and to make your decisions. Okay, but trust but verify is a big thing in my career field. As a military member, we are all supposed to have integrity, but it never hurts to fact check and make sure everything is on the up and up. Yeah, that's something I've also been making it a point to do, is even if it's a trusted source and they link to a study or they discuss a study, I will open the study. I may not read the whole thing, right? Because I don't have time to read like a 40-page study. But I will look at the study. I'll look at the abstract. I'll look at the results. I'll look at like the thing and I'll be like, oh, this is what they did. This was the methodology used. Okay, this makes sense. Don't trust things blindly. even when they're from a trusted source, but especially when they're not from a trusted source, especially when someone online is just like, especially when you see percentages and people just make up this percentage of people, like, where did you get that? There's a video, my next YouTube video is going to be me reacting to a video where these like podcasters did like, the delusions of OnlyFans girls. And they say things like, the average lifespan of an adult performer is, and they like 30 something. Literally Vice did an entire article about how that's misinformation. And the thing is, Google doesn't like, sometimes Google gets it wrong and they'll put misinformation at the top and then people don't check it. And where that's actually from is some reverend literally did a graph of people that died in the adult entertainment industry and the average age that 100 people who died, what age they died. Like, that's not how you actually calculate the average lifespan of anybody in any industry, right? But and then under it he wrote like, God's wrath will like this is not real information. And now you're using that and you're coming online and you're spreading it, and most of your audience is going to be like, oh, okay. And now we have this big lie that's just going around because people don't know how to check facts, and people didn't learn this stuff. People don't know the scientific method. People don't know how to spot bad science. And that's one of the reasons I do what I do. And I like to talk about this stuff. Me and Hazard still talk about it a lot too, is if I can change one mind, then it's worth it. Okay. Jordan Peterson be 50-50 for me. Yeah, I mean, I make it a point to separate the idea from the person. If Jordan Peterson says the sky is blue, it doesn't mean it's wrong because Jordan Peterson says it. If my favorite person in the world says the sky is pink, it doesn't make it right just because I like them. So I can make my judgments about Jordan Peterson as a person. Like, for instance, I think he is intellectually dishonest. But if he wrote a book on psychology, and what he talks about in that book is accurate, and he's not jumping to conclusions, and the conclusions logically follow, then it's a great book. That's like when people said 5G was causing COVID. Yeah, people say all kinds of stuff is causing COVID. I did a stream before on conspiracy theories and what makes people believe in them. I'm probably going to do a YouTube video on it again because I just think it's fascinating, and this propensity towards conspiracy theories infects so many people, in my opinion, for a variety of reasons. There's a documentary on Netflix about the problems with social media and the internet, about how you fall in your circle and information supporting that will be filtered to you. So even though we have all the information at our fingertips, that doesn't always mean well either. That's true, which is why you got to make it a point to consume content you vehemently disagree with. If you guys were to look at my watch history, you would think I am like a crazy right-wing lunatic. And if you know me, you know I'm not any of those things, but that's because I like hearing people that I agree with, but I like to hear people I agree with 20% of the time. 80% of the time, I want to hear people I disagree with. Now, usually I try to pick people I disagree with that are the best of arguing against my position. Like, I want the most charitable, interpretation of the opposing agreement, or the other argument. That's really how you learn. And that's something I wasn't used to before. I wasn't on the internet before. I didn't have whatever before, and I used to still consume stuff, but I was nerdy. And even though I did consume a lot of content I disagree with, it was at a certain caliber. So I wasn't used to dealing with people like Andrew Tate because he's so stupid. Now, Jordan Peterson, maybe I would come across and I'd be like, okay, what does he have to say? Blah, blah, blah. But some of the stuff that the popular stuff on the internet is so dumb. And then the comments are so dumb. It's just beyond dumb. And I didn't even know that this many people were that fucking dumb. I don't know how else to say it. And yeah, it's unfortunate. But it's life. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I was like, I didn't know how bad information could spread so easily. And interestingly, places like YouTube, I used to be like, oh no, they should just let anything, whatever's popular happen. And YouTube was like, no, we can't do that. If after a shooting, we just let anything go to the top when people search, we're going to get like an Alex Jones video, or we're going to get a bunch of misinformation, and that's going to be like millions of views right away. So we try to put trusted, verified news sources above in the algorithm. And before I would have been like, oh, well, you know, that shit's going to get debunked, whatever. Now I'm like, no, like this could really, and I'm a very big free speech person. And I think that people should be able to say pretty much anything they want to say outside of direct threats of violence, etc. But it is scary. It is unfortunate, because I think there may be more of them than there are of us. And that's not good. Logic isn't reactionary. It follows the path of inductive investigation. Lots of bad actors like Tate trying to hijack rationality by forcefully stalking a claim on the truth, even though everyone is full of shit, especially Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate has famously also said that he doesn't read. He thinks reading is for not smart people. And instead, he likes to experience life with lots of champagne. And that is how he learns. So there's that. A lot of what you're saying sounds like enjoy the journey or enjoy the moment, but doesn't our enjoyment of the journey hinge significantly on what we are journeying towards? So my real question is, if we believe our journey ends in nothing, how can we really enjoy any moment? I'm not saying enjoy the journey or enjoy the moment. I guess enjoy the journey in the sense that all you really have in this life is your journey and your relationship with yourself as you navigate through this journey. And I'm not saying don't have goals and don't work towards things. I'm saying that you should determine those for yourself and not let other people dictate your journey or your life. And I think if you are talking about like my atheism, like, so the real question is, if we believe I don't believe our journey ends in nothing. I don't know what our journey ends in, and neither does anybody else. That's what I'm saying. Nobody knows. You can make up something. You can choose to believe what this person says or that person says and live your life accordingly. That's fine. You're not hurting anybody, but you don't actually know. You're taking a risk. You're betting on something. That's all you're fucking doing. And I'm sorry to say that. I know that's going to ruffle some feathers, but you don't fucking know. I use DuckDuckGo to surf and search anonymously. How do y'all know this shit? I would never know how. Like, I wouldn't know that, but good advice for our boy Hazard stint. I would argue that each moment becomes infinitely more enjoyable precisely because I'll never experience it again. Yeah, a lot of people who don't believe in like some afterlife or reincarnation that they're working towards, they almost appreciate life more in some ways because they think it's all we have. And after that, we just lose. All we have is consciousness. We're just a stream of consciousness. And once that stream is over, who knows when we die. And that doesn't mean we can't experience life to the fullest just because we haven't adopted a belief system pertaining to how things are going to end. Are you pro-vax or anti-vax? I think I have a very nuanced position on vaccines. I'm not anti-vax. I trust science and I look at the science. Now, do I think that, first of all, I'm very pro-freedom. I don't think anyone should be forced to get the vaccine by any means. I think it's a completely personal decision. Do I think that everybody and children, it makes sense for everybody to rush off and go get this vaccine? Not necessarily. I did get it. But I also, anti-vax people are not thinking logically. They have those conspiracy theory tendencies that I've talked about in other videos, and I probably will do a YouTube video on it. But that it's not rational to be anti-vax. I missed a conspiracy podcast. It's on my Thoughts for Thoughts YouTube channel. Someone wants to put that on there, or I mean, it's the moderator, not somebody. Yeah. It should be in there, and I'm also going to do a YouTube on it. Wait, did you watch the documentary that got the basketball player in hot water? What is it called? Some Negroes to Heroes? Yeah. That's the problem, is people like Kanye West, and I think it was Kyrie Irving, that have, I think, the collective cognitive skills of like a small like turtle. say things and then people follow them and people don't know. Like, that's the thing. I don't want to belittle. I'm belittling people like Kanye West, because I'm not saying he should know better. He has the resources, and it's arrogant of him to just get online and spread a bunch of misinformation, very easily, verifiably false information. But people that believe it, like, little high school kids that don't really know history, that believe everything they're told, they are going to be susceptible to things like that. And that documentary, which I didn't watch the documentary, but I know about, things Farrakhan says, and like, just it's so crazy, and it's crazy that people could believe it, but people believe all kinds of crazy things, and it's unfortunate. Unfortunately, majority of our society has a low IQ. It is shocking you are someone that does not recognize it when younger or without much experience in the real world, getting to know others. So I was in a bubble. That was my problem. I come from family of super educated people. Everyone around me was really educated. I went to law school. I was surrounded by other really educated people that did really well. And none of us were like this. That's the thing. Like, even when we disagreed, we had disagreements. Like, you don't think the Federalist Society was out here, with very different opinions than, like, I had. But there was we had things that everybody agreed on that laid the foundation for the discourse. Like, okay, we believe in good arguments, evidence, logic, even diplomacy, and like arguing in good faith. All of these things were things that we still, for the most part, agreed on in this kind of discourse, in these kind of settings. And so that's why coming to the internet was such a shock for me. And at first, even when I saw these comments, I'm like, oh, they don't know any better. Like, if someone gives them the facts, that they're going to be persuaded, or if someone gives them a better argument, and if someone, like, the truth is the truth. But for some people, they don't have the skills to even know how to discern what's true and not true. They use their, like we said, their primitive brain, their lizard brain, what makes them feel better, what makes them feel heard, seen. A lot of people want to feel like they figured out something that the rest of the world didn't figure out, that they have the key. They watched this one YouTube video, they figured out the conspiracy theory. They're the ones they're the heroes. They identified the bad actors, and it's a natural human urge. And they were like, oh no, I'm smarter than everybody else. Everybody else is this, and I figured it out. People have that desire, a lot of people, and those are the people that usually know the least. I think is it a Socrates quote? The only wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Yeah, people who think that they figured shit out, like we talked about, kind of the theme of this, people who think they have shit figured out don't have shit figured out. Especially if they can't link, hey, I believe this and this is why, and here's my evidence. If they can't do that, then their opinion or their argument isn't worth hearing. It's not just, oh, I hate the vaccine, fuck big pharma, now there's all these excess deaths, therefore it's linked. It's not. And we did a stream before on logical fallacies too. I might do another one and bring up like 10 more, because there's so many. I did 10 before. Ordinary Things dropped a video on YouTube today about how misinformation, corruption, and social media echo chambers led to the attack. And yeah. And then the question is, what do we do? How do we reach these people? Because I don't think censorship is right, and I don't think censorship is the answer. Continuing to fight and educate people seems to be the only way to go, but I think some people are just really far gone, and I think actually significant segments of the population are far gone. So there's that. I'm not back. Thank you for sharing. I wasn't mad that they watched it. I was mad they said they got something out of it. Who got something out of it? It's incredible that in this day and age that people with influence have more of an impact on information, more impact than the people who are experts in the matter. There's no reason someone should listen to Kanye above an educated scientific theory. Yes. And I think sometimes people get into these very powerful positions. And us as human beings, we don't like, people can't separate, oh, this person is good at music, but they probably don't know shit about foreign policy. Me, some of you think, okay, maybe Jazmen's good at analyzing this case and making an argument and making a counter argument. But Jazmen doesn't know shit about video games or technology or whatever. So if I came here and I gave you guys advice on technology, or I pretended I knew like, people don't know how to, they idolize somebody, and we have this false idea, especially in America, that people are successful, that the meritocracy truly works, and that people who are better and more successful are the people who are better and deserve it are the people that are successful. So we idolize celebrities and we idolize rich people, and we're like, teach me how you did it. You must have done it because you deserved it and you know so much. Oh my gosh, Elon is so, and then they're actually just human beings. And they may be good, they may be talented at the one thing they did. Part of it maybe is also luck or whatever. For whatever reason, they got very successful and they are where they are, but that doesn't mean that they know shit about anything else. So now, luckily, in a lot of ways, like when you look at the people that are spreading the most misinformation, and yeah, there are a lot of segments of our population that follow them. Now, luckily, I think the problem is usually the people that are in the, like, kind of high, I don't want to say higher ranks of society, but like, for instance, Andrew Tate fans. It isn't neurosurgeons, PhD students that are heart surgeons. These are not the people that are Andrew Tate fans. Like, they're not people that are online like top G. Like, it's not them. It's kind of disenfranchised, disillusioned men that don't have a lot of power in society. It's the same people. One of the contributing, I guess, why can't I think of the word? One of the factors that is linked to believing in conspiracy theories, or your likelihood of believing in conspiracy theories, is how much power you have society. And people who don't have a lot of power, it makes them feel more powerful to like figure out the answer. And I think in this case, it's the same thing. It's a bunch of people who don't have power that are attracted to the message that someone like Andrew Tate gives. But then the problem is there's a lot of people who feel this way, and a lot of people don't have a lot of power in society. So there's enough of them that it grows and it becomes a problem for everybody. But on an individual level, there aren't very many overall educated people with good jobs, people that are doing well in life, have a lot of friends, do well with women, who are sitting there like, top G, the Matrix is out to get him, So, okay. A mutual grounding in reality is key to a good exchange in ideas, but more people go with what they feel versus reality. And I think this is becoming like, this is really like freaked me out, how the right wing has almost like, it's like education is like an evil word to them. Like they don't believe in reading anymore, and they think, oh, like this person. And I'm not saying that automatically getting a degree or being an expert in something means that you're smart and you have all the answers. I'm not saying everything that goes on in college campuses is great, but when they're starting to make it see, oh, if you, especially at Ivy League schools, especially if you're a neurosurgeon who graduated from Yale, you're extra stupid. Don't listen to those people. Those people are extra stupid. It's like, what? Right? Don't go to museums. Don't read books. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, studies, oh, fuck studies. Oh, studies show this, studies show that. I don't fuck this. Like, there is that big growing sentiment. And that is the scariest thing in the world, because if we can't even agree on evidence and science and studies, if what else do we have? The whims of like lunatics that just say, you know what I mean? It's just, that's a scary predicament to be in. After watching Died Suddenly and noticing a pattern in pro athletes with a healthy body pass out. Okay, yeah. This is the kind of thing that everyone should, this is exactly how you watch something, you had the preconceived notion about what you wanted to get out of it, what they were trying to sell you on, and now you believe it, even though they have not made any type of link to the vaccines and these excess deaths. In fact, I actually have this because I texted it to the friend. Hold on. We have no evidence that shows us that people who are vaccinated are more likely to suffer from these kinds of issues. We actually do have evidence to the contrary. I actually linked 3 studies. And the person obviously was just like, oh, well, fuck that. I don't care. We have one study correlating the percentage of fully vaccinated people in each U.S. state and with death rates from April 2021 to March 2022. So it was like after COVID. Chart shows that rates are lower in states where people are vaccinated. There's another study, all-cause mortality higher in 10 least vaccinated states as compared to 10 most vaccinated. We also have a study out of Indiana. It was a fairly large study, over 500,000 people compared vaccinated and unvaccinated people, and all-cause mortality was lower in the vaccinated group. So when these sensationalized, like, oh, a documentary, look at this guy, he just died. Oh my God, he just died. Like this one guy just died and he took the vaccine. Ooh, only now if you're smart, you could put together the pieces. Oh yeah, don't go get vaccine. Like, you know, like be smart. This guy just died. You know, it appeals to those kind of people. But there's like, okay, where's the study? Where's the evidence? Where are you getting this? You know? Okay. You feel the problem is the people that are spreading the information for being negligent, or is the fault of people taking the information as being uneducated? I think it's a combination, but if you're going to spread information, please at least make sure you know what you're talking about. If you want to sit in your room and think, okay, the vaccine isn't for me, that's fine. But it's another thing if you're going online, spreading misinformation, not checking your facts, making these conclusions that don't follow from the facts, and kind of leading other people in this direction. I think that you do your research before you get online and use. If I was to tell you guys a statistic, I would 100% know where I got it, make sure the source was accurate, etc. A lot of people don't do that. It's almost like there may be detrimental effects to the stress pro athletes put themselves under, but sure, pick out a pattern relating to the vaccine. Yeah. And, you know, yeah, a lot of people have died. We had a global pandemic. People who are like, oh my God, but we don't know the long-term effects, the side effects of the vaccine. We don't know the long-term side effects of COVID either. You know, we have no idea. But we do know, at least, that the vaccine was tested. And I'm not saying, and trust me, I'm not a fan of big pharma. And I don't think that the pandemic was handled in the best way that it could have been. I think they kept information from us. They didn't have all the facts and they pretended that they did at some point. But that doesn't mean that it's kind of like the perfectionist fallacy. Oh, the vaccine, they said the vaccine was safe and effective, but it's only 80% safe and effective. It's not fully 100% safe and effective. Therefore, now it's not safe and effective at all. And my crazy conspiracy theory is on equal footing as this, because this is not 100% perfect. That doesn't work like that. There's evidence for this. There's no evidence for this. So they're not equal, even if this isn't 100% perfect. Circling back to what I said and how you responded, that is my understanding of how human behavior generally works at a root level. One of the biggest flaws of the human race is selfishness. Those who are focused on themselves and filled with ego tend to be those who cannot see how others think or feel. Most people are more concerned with their own thoughts and feelings over the collective benefit of advancement as a species. Closed-mindedness causes a decrease in growth as a whole. Yeah, but you know, some of that is just, that's what I mean. A lot of the things that we're naturally predisposed to are not what's best for us as a society and to grow. That is why we don't act like animals anymore. I mean, we do, but like, you know, to a point, we choose to be civilized. We choose to follow the social contract. We choose not to just, you know, the biggest and baddest come in and steal all the food and kill everybody off. There's a reason we chose to do that. And we sometimes have to work against our nature in order to reach our goals and to make sure that there is a truth, right? There is truth. Reality perception is not reality. It may be your subjective false reality. Like if I do fucking shrooms, like, yeah, this shit could be doing shit in like 5D or whatever, but that's not actually happening. There are things that are actually happening. And human beings, sometimes we get it wrong. Like in this book, I think it was like a couple pages ago, Maybe I can find it. Yeah, he was talking about Paul Slovic and his colleagues uncovered basically what they realized, and this is, I've heard this before too, is that us as human beings, we are more empathetic and we are able to feel more, and we are more inclined to help people when it's one victim. When we hear a story about one starving child, or we hear a story about one whatever, the more it is, the less we feel. So when we hear that 20,000 children were just killed, when we, well, 20,000 is a lot, but let's say we hear that a bus of 50 children fell into a lake and they all died, we are less inclined to help and we feel less than when we hear about one child who was on a bike and they fell into a lake. And that's just our nature. It's our nature. As soon as it becomes two or more, the amount we care actually goes down. Now that's counterintuitive, right? Don't we want the best for the most amount of people? Like, isn't it sadder if a bunch of people were affected by this than if, one person was affected by this? Yes. And logically we know that, but that's not how our biology works right now. So what we need to do is we need to learn this information, think about it, and then implement it. Like, okay, this is how people think. Let's talk about it. Let's be aware so that when people do think like that, they can catch themselves, and that's why even like charities and stuff, they know this. That's why they sometimes put like one kid, like, oh, people are more inclined if you say, hey, if you donate, you can put this child through school. Here's the child. Then if you say you can put 50 children through school, people are less inclined to give. All right. My theory is that we're so concerned with the afterlife because we're so concerned about our ego. We legit believe our consciousness to be something unlimited and eternal, but even if it is, it doesn't exist in the same sphere as what we experience consciousness to be as living beings. So it is outside our very limited experience and scope as humans, and that's because we can't imagine existing without an ego or personality. Yep, I agree. Consciousness to be something, even if it isn't. Sorry, I'm reading that again because I really like it. Even if it is, it doesn't exist in the same sphere as what we experience consciousness to be as living things. Yeah, so it's outside our very limited experience scope as humans. Yeah. We have to believe, many of us have to believe that we're important and we're special and we're put on this earth to do very special things. And yeah, you are special. You're special to your loved ones. You're special because you're here in a way, but you're not special in the sense that like you have some and you're going to live forever and you're going to go to this happy, wonderful life, and you're going to be reincarnated and your spirit is going to live on because you're so important. It's nice to believe, but it's also possible that we don't know why the fuck we're here, but we are here and we just have this stream of consciousness and then it's going to be gone. It is what it is, That's very hard for people. Here's a fun explanation of vaccines for y'all. Vaccines are like tiny helpers that teach our bodies how to fight off sickness. When we get a vaccine, our body learns how to fight a germ that can cause a disease like the flu or the measles. That way, if the germ ever tries to make us sick, our body is ready and knows what to do to stop it. Just like playing a game of pretend helps us get ready for the real thing, vaccines help our body be prepared for the germs it might meet. Thank you, Hazardston, for the magic school bus version of vaccines for those that need the refresher. Okay. Have you ever done DMT? I don't know what DMT is. I found it hilarious when I would see people outside of the base I worked at about the vaccine. They have no idea how many shots I had to take to get into the military, but nobody ever made a fuss about those shots. Yeah, people are very inconsistent. The stuff that you put in your body, if you're worried about vaccines of all things, and people are like, oh, it's like, yeah, usually we like to test things on like millions of people, but this time we had to settle for thousands and tens of thousands of people because we were in a global pandemic. Oh, DMT, my moderator just told me, is one of the strongest psychedelic substances. No, I haven't been a crazy psychedelic person, although I did just order mushroom chocolate bars, and I got a notification that they were shipped before I got on the stream. I've done shrooms before, but I've just done the basic, and I've done acid twice. And that's it. All right. Is that all the comments? Oh. Funny story. I saw a group of people protesting the vaccine, and a couple other people had my body, my choice sign. So for son, I stopped my car and went on the side with them and started talking about pro-choice, and they all freaked when I said, but my body, my choice, right? Then they kicked me out. So my body, my choice is a nice slogan, but it doesn't actually work, in my opinion, for either argument, because your body, your choice is true, except for when your body makes a choice that harms other people. So it's not my body, my choice. So I like, and I'm honest, right? I'm pro-choice, but when pro-life people make this argument, they're right. When they're like, well, it's not your body, or you can't choose to kill another person. And they think that the child, or with your womb, the child in your womb is a living whatever person, so you can't use your body to kill that person. Now, I think a better argument is that I think the better argument is that we're balancing the zygote with the actual woman's autonomy in life, and it's a balancing situation, right? If you don't think it's a balancing situation, if you think life truly begins at conception, then if we have a box of 200 zygotes and we have a living and breathing 5-year-old child, and you're in the car and you have to hit one of them, are you going to hit the living and breathing 5-year-old child for the box of zygotes? Probably not. So if your answer isn't yes there, then you already think it's a balancing act. Okay, here's the autonomy of the mother, here's this life. So when it's 9 months, I think the inquiry is a little bit different than first trimester. That's how I feel about it. But my body, my choice is just like a slogan that people use, that it's very easy to be like, well, you can't use your body to rob people, you can't use your body to hit people, you can't use your body to do this. So, that's just my take on it. I don't think it's the right angle. I also, sorry, this is not me ranting. I also really don't like when people argue from the fringes and they go, oh, well, what about, people cases of rape and incest? And, they're like, well, that's very, no, we shouldn't argue from the fringes for cases of rape and incest. We should argue that people should have this choice no matter what, not just the 0.1% that unfortunately have these issues in the life of the mother and all that stuff. No, it should be normal people who just don't want to fucking have the kid. We don't need to argue from the fringes. Hold on. Rape is all, my moderator said rape is also way less present people. That's why I don't like to argue from it. It makes it seem like, abortion is okay because very, very rarely this is why somebody's getting it. Okay. But that I don't care. Like, I want them to have that choice, but I also want people who weren't raped to also have the choice. So I don't like arguing from the fringes, because I think it like diminishes like women who just don't want to fucking have the kid. It makes it seem like it's only okay. Oh my gosh, but women, they're just in so much, it's not there. No, I don't care what your reason is. I don't care. You should be able to do it. So that's why I don't like that argument. Great point about the whole more than one victim thought. We also tend to care more when it's more personalized. Yeah. AKA just one victim to focus on, or two, which goes hand in hand about the point of people only wanting to care about things when it's convenient for themselves or it allows them to flaunt their achievement or greatness. Most people care more about recognition and being a hero than truly being a hero by doing acts of good without expecting anything in return. Yeah, that's also another, I think, flaw of human nature, is also we care more about people that look like us and are closer to us. It's natural. You care more if something happens to the people in the neighborhood next to you, even if you don't really know them, than if it happens to people in Yemen. I watched this great documentary about the anti-abortion movement and how it was really kickstarted by one doctor who was noticing Americans were starting to. Oh, interesting. I mean, like I said, I think the arguments that are usually surrounding abortion should, I think arguments surrounding abortion should really, I think a lot of the rhetoric used is not intellectually, strong. My body, my choice. Oh my God, people get raped. Yes, but let's go, because I think those arguments are not great arguments because they're easy to debunk. And I want to make the strongest argument possible, and be able to counteract the greatest arguments my opponents have. So always think of the best argument against your case and be able to argue against the best argument against your case. But if you're talking about rape and incest and life of the mother, you are not dealing with the best argument from the other side. But if I was in that car and was going to save the 5-year-old or a 50-year-old man, I would save the 5-year-old. That doesn't mean the 50-year-old man isn't human or doesn't have value or isn't worthy of respect. That's not the point. But the point is, that's why I didn't say it's one zygote. I said it's 50. So if you think it's a life and you really think a life is just a life and it starts at conception and the moment you like nut in somebody, now a life is there, then you're talking about 50 lives versus one life. And if you had the option and you were in a car and there were 50 people you could kill or one person you could kill, I mean, we've all had this thought experiment. It makes sense unless you know the person or whatever other, reasons maybe you have that would make you not choose this. But the majority of people, like right now, if you said, okay, if you push this, but you have to push one of the buttons, this one person will die, this one 50 people will die, you're going to push the one. Unless the 50 is not a fully formed human being that can think, that has consciousness, that can feel pain, etc. So that's why I think that's something that people who say that, oh, no, life begins at conception, then for you would rather save 50 lives over this one life. But I highly doubt that's what you would actually do. Such lawyer speak. Oh, good word. I would save the 5-year-old over 50-year-old. Yeah, that's a completely different analysis you're making. Now you're making the analysis, okay, this is an innocent child with their life to live. This is a 50-year-old. We do protect children. Children are the most vulnerable and innocent. I mean, if it was even between me and a 5-year-old, save the 5-year-old. But if it's between me and a box of zygotes, that I don't care if it's 1,000. I don't care if you literally somebody broke into a fucking facility where a bunch of people froze their eggs or they whatever, and now it's all on the street. You're gonna save the real human being, even if it's 10,000 lives that are like incubated little to be like put into people for to get pregnant. Like, come on. I'd save as many people as possible before the car blows up. Okay, I don't think you guys understand how a thought experiment works. You can't, the point is, the thought experiment is supposed to get you to the like what's underpinning it, and it's used to make you make calculations about human nature and behavior and right and wrong and moral philosophy. It isn't a time for you to become fucking Steven Spielberg and be like, well, I would flip the car and then I would wish for more wishes, like the gene, like this. That's not the point. I wouldn't save any of them. I as a bug, thus I couldn't help even if I wanted. I'm glad you guys are getting creative with this. Thank you for the intellectual discussion. This was like, thank you for being here. You guys have anything else? I have 20 minutes before my very different kind of live. You guys want to join that one, but otherwise I can chill or I can get off and take a little break before I go to my very other kind of content, my very different kind of content. Are you going to the other place? Yes, I will be there in 20 minutes. But I still have 20 minutes before that one. Whew. Have you ever considered being more than a bug? I feel like this is like the time where I'm a teacher and my students are goofing off. And I'm like, oh, guys, stop. I'm just kidding. I know you guys are kidding, especially Hazard Stan. I was mostly talking about the guy who was like, you know which guy. I love these Twitch to their discussion nights. Yeah, I feel like it was fun last time, and I think I'm going to continue to do it. And the other live is less talking, more, and I'm excited to not be wearing this. If anyone wants to look up the U.S. anti-abortion doctor, his name was Horatio Robinson Storer. Okay, well, there's the name if people are interested in that. What was the topic that somebody brought? Oh, AI generated OnlyFans. I want to look at that. They're coming for my job. The real thing's better, guys. I'm not somebody that's like scared of like, oh my God, AI and like whatever, but all righty, Aphrodite. Any last words? If not, I shall see you all in approximately 18 minutes if you are subscribed. If not, go to jazzylicious.org, which is not my usual website. It's usually jasmindefar.com, and click on the little website link, and there you go. How do we know you're not AI? You don't. I feel like that will be the new thing. People like, prove it. Prove you're not AI. Come meet up with me. I mean, we're a long ways away from AI being able to, I think, really mimic. Have you guys heard of the chat bot, like that thing? I am pissed that these kids have access to that to be able to cheat in school, because all we had was what was it? Oh my gosh, not SparkNotes. SparkNotes isn't really a way to cheat, but there was like those flat, like it was like for science class only, or like a psych class, and a lot of teachers would literally pull the exam questions from there, and you could like Google, like that was all we had. But now if you type into this chat AI thing, like it'll spit out like full on papers. Yeah, Quizlet. It was Quizlet. Thank you, Frozen. So yeah, all we had was Quizlet. And if your question wasn't on Quizlet, it was a sad day. Millie Bobby Brown. I don't know who that is. Getting AI'd a lot? How do you get AI'd? There's already another bot that was created to only detect if it was another AI bot that did the work. Oh yeah, do you guys remember when we would turn in papers and we had to turn it in to turnitin.com, and it would scan the internet for plagiarism? That was like high school and middle school. By the time you get to law school, like you're not fucking around with plagiarism. You would lose your license. She's the lead in Stranger Things. People are making deep fake porn of her. Oh, yeah, I don't watch Stranger Things, but I know who it is now. All right, people have very interesting uses of their time. I'd still smash, though. The AI thing? All right. So you wouldn't take the vaccine, but you are okay with... Okay. One streamer even had it write several songs and they aren't. Yeah. And you can like fine tune it. Like you could be right. Do you guys remember in high school, at least my high school, like freshman and sophomore year, you learn about the 5-paragraph essay? Bro, I wish that was all that the longest essays I've ever had to write. Cause I mean, in law school, I wrote like an 80-page for my fucking writing requirement. I would have loved a 5-paragraph essay. But like if you were to put in, write a 5-paragraph essay persuading blah 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 for this, it'll pop it out, and then you can fine tune it. Can you add this example? Can you make it more persuasive? Can you change the language to this, that? And yeah, that would have been helpful. Yeah, you would lose your shit if you got caught plagiarizing. You would fail character in fitness. So contrary to popular belief, me being on OnlyFans is not a character and fitness violation unless they were to argue that what I do is moral turpitude, which I don't think they could make that argument, and I don't think they would attempt to make that argument in 2023, because the point is your character, you have to be honest. The whole point, like what they tell us is like, if you go tell the judge, my client got into an accident, whatever, he's not here, the judge automatically believes you. You are somebody of high moral character. They're not going to believe the defendant if the defendant says, oh, Your Honor, I was in a blah, blah, blah. So you have this higher standard of ethics that you need to follow. That doesn't mean that you're modest and you cover your titties up, but that does mean that you don't plagiarize and you don't take other people's work and pass it off as your own. In fact, in law school, we have to usually, unless it's pure opinion, we have to cite after every sentence where we got that information from. You'd smash that but not get a vaccine. Okay. Yeah, I was like confused. Will your next stream be as long as this one? My streams are always like an hour and a half usually. Getting caught cheating after undergrad is basically a death sentence. It literally is. Don't cheat after undergrad, guys. Especially with like plagiarizing. Anyways. My moderator says, as a former TA, please don't cheat, period. I'm going to disagree. I think in when you're not going to get in a lot, okay, like it depends, okay? Like there were some classes I remember, okay, so I didn't want to take PE because I didn't want to sweat in the fucking middle of the day. I had huge fucking boobs. I didn't want to be in PE, like, you know. So I had my best friend, because the counselor hated me, but the counselor loved him. So he went and he told the counselor that my titties were too big and I had health problems, because I've had big boobs my whole life. It's funny when people think they're fake, because just talk to anyone in my middle school or high school. And I got to do online aerobics. And then there was an exam for online aerobics, and the teacher put me in this room, and like these questions were crazy. It was like fucking like what is the heart rate? Like it was like I had to know every fucking muscle in the body. I was like, what the fuck? So I was just on my phone like, what is this? What is that? And in those situations, it's fine. I didn't need to know everything there was to know about online aerobics, you know? I should do that story time on a TikTok. I'll maybe even tell it on Instagram when I get it back. Were you ever one to procrastinate in school? For example, in my junior year of undergrad, I had a professor that allowed us all to turn in papers last week of the semester. So I decided to fuck it and not do one paper the whole semester until the last night before submission, and wrote over 30 pages of nonsense and turned it and got it. That is, I feel heard and I feel seen by this, because I am in fact, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I have ADHD, and I've never been diagnosed with it, but I if anyone could be diagnosed with it, it's me. My body will not perform until it's under pressure, and that's with everything. Even if I have to catch a flight and I'm home all day, I will only get into gear the very last second that I can in order to still make the flight. I will only start the paper the very last second that I can, if it's due at 8 a.m., to have it turned in at 7:58, barely having proofread it. I can't take a practice test. I can only take a test in actual test like settings, and then I do very well because I perform well under pressure. Do I have a mental breakdown? It has like 10 years been taken off my life from the stress of waiting to the last minute to study for the bar exam, to turn in papers, to catch flights, to fucking do anything ever? Yes, but I feel you. I have never, ever not procrastinated on something. I can actually say that. Thanks for taking time to talk to us. Of course. It took me going to grad school to officially diagnose with ADHD. Yeah, I could be probably, but I'm very like, I know I think it's completely like people who get diagnosed and they get the medication and they use it and it helps them, and that could be me. But I don't know. I'm very like, I don't want to take something every day and get dependent on it, especially when I'm functional without it. Now, I'm not happily functional without it, but I get things done. I graduated law school, passed the bar exam, my first try under these conditions. Hey, Josh, you're going to take it down? Yes, I talked about this in the beginning. It's going to come back up soon. Yeah, I got Jazmen, but she's getting it back. Yeah, I'm working on it now. I had to take off my OF link from my beacons in order to get it back, and then I can put it back up. And so that's why you have to go to this beacons for now. Shit, I don't like that doesn't get done, so I definitely need the meds. Yeah, I'm able to still get things done. It's just under extreme pressure, and my brain works very well under pressure. Like under pressure, I focus, I can come up with answers. There's so many times during exams, I'm like, I'm fucking smart. How did I think of this? I would have never thought of this the night before when I'm sitting in my room, not having to think of it. All right. Same. I feel I write better when I have to do it all at once and don't do too many stops or breaks, kind of lose train of thought or breaks flow of writing if you space out too much. If I focus in the moment and just grind, the product comes out way better. I always preferred essay exams over multiple choice exams for this reason. Law school, the exams are 4 hours, bar exams, 16 hours total, but you like if I had a 4-hour exam and it was 3 essay questions, time would go by like that because I would be so embedded in it. And then I'd be in the second one. Like it was like, but with multiple choice, because my brain had to reset every question, I would like, my mind would wander. I wouldn't be as focused. Damn, that shit, you just found you on Reddit. I was hoping, oh my God, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay. Was wanting to find the IG. Hope it's up soon. Yeah, when I do have the IG up, please follow. I do a lot of like cute little reels on there, and I'm going to be more active on there and maybe Twitter and like post more of like my life and kind of stuff, kind of like this personality. So definitely make sure you follow me there. That should be up and running very soon. Multiple choice exams are terrible. Yeah, I don't like them. They're easier in the sense, like I would be less stressed for a multiple choice exam because I felt like, okay, like I can eliminate and then I have a 50% whatever, but I actually always performed worse on those. That's kind of how live streaming is in the comments. If you want to be heard, you learn how to communicate effectively. No chance for partial credit. That's true too, but I also feel like with exams, you can finesse. Like you don't have to fully understand something. You just have to word it as if you understand it. So it doesn't have to be as precise. And I'm very good at, I feel like that's like a lawyer skill is make it seem like you know more than you know. You seem so smart. Love to get to know this side of you more. So unless something comes up, I am doing these podcasts every Monday. You should follow my YouTube channel, follow my Instagram. And if you want a little bit more of the other side of Jazmen, then you know where to go. And that's where I'll be going in 7 minutes. So I'm going to get off now. If you want to join me there, you can join me there. Otherwise, have a really great night. And I will see you guys next week. I will have a YouTube video up this week. The YouTube video kind of talks quickly about some of the stuff we talked about here. But the reason I love these is I love interacting with you guys and I like expanding on the stuff I do. Like I like to do these more than I like to do YouTube, but I like to do both. Join You Aware. If you go to jazzylicious.org and you click on the top, I'm going to be doing a live on my OS in 6 minutes. See you soon. I know some of you joined from last time, went straight over there. So we'll see if that happens again. I'm going to give you guys a little shout out. I'm going to be like, where is the Twitch crew at? All right. Have a good night, everybody.